While we're waiting for new updates on episode 7, let's take a little break from talking about the release date and stuff like that. Judging by all the new leaks, it's clear that the upcoming episode is destined to be absolutely insane. And with that in mind, I want to bring up one insanely important detail from episode 6 that completely shifts the direction of episode 7. We're not only going to break that down, but also talk about how it's going to affect the new episode.
You really want to know what I want?
Oh no.
I want the ability to have sex.
No way. Are we finally having this conversation?
At first it might look like Zuble's just dropping that line to piss off Caine even more, but hidden in what seems like a throwaway phrase is actually the answer to some pretty big questions. First off, let's get what the digital circus really is. It's a programmed digital space where real people end up and get their so-called skins. The big difference between the digital circus and the real world is immortality, because in the circus you just can't die from physical causes, and episode 6 showed that perfectly.
Wait, no, wait! Oh, wow, I didn't actually think that'd work. Huh? Oh.
Which means the characters' physical bodies stay in the real world while only their consciousness gets transferred into the digital circus. And since consciousness ain't something tangible, it can't really die from outside factors. That's why in the circus, nobody actually dies in the classic sense. Instead, they turn into abstracted monsters and get tossed into the cellar. Abstraction basically means the breakdown of the mind, because the only thing that can really push a character to the so-called end are serious mental struggles that warp their consciousness. That's one of the main problems of the digital circus. It doesn't care about the wishes of the people stuck there. It just forces its own rules through Caine, whose main job is to entertain the characters. He's only programmed for fun and games, and that's why he's slowly starting to lose it now, because too many are pushing past his rules. If we think back to the adventure Zuble came up with...
You know your way around alcohol, huh?
Yeah, this was one of my suggestions. I worked at a bar briefly. I like making drinks. Hey, I'm always down to make art together if you want.
Oh, I didn't know you were an artist too, Zuble.
Yeah, I was a tattoo artist for a couple years.
A bartender and a tattoo artist? You're killing me here, Zuby.
I ain't trying to put it under stereotypes or anything like that, but we can totally assume that with a lifestyle like that, Zuble's wish actually makes a lot of sense. Judging by Jax's reaction, we can tell plenty of others thought the same thing, but were just too scared to say it out loud. And that's only the start of really digging into this whole topic. So let's go back to Jax's worldview on the digital circus.
We're still people, though, right?
I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
What's your archetype, then? The villain?
Listen, I add a key dynamic. I see how far I can push things, I screw with people, and I break the fourth wall. You wanna know why? It's 'cause it's funny. I do everything 'cause it's funny. 'Cause I'm the funny one.
The funny one?
Yeah. Ragatha's the cheerful one, Gangle's the sad one, Kinger's the crazy one, Zuble's the grumpy one, and you are the one who hasn't figured that out yet. We all just became archetypes. I at least have the self-awareness to choose who I am.
Jax sees all the characters in the digital circus as just a bunch of archetypes they're stuck following. But if we look at everything for real, from the very first seconds, it's pretty clear he's dead wrong. In a broad sense, he tries to box everyone into a certain style, but just a couple scenes are enough to see that Jax is totally wrong, which means his whole way of seeing things is straight up false. Even his own archetype glitches out hard whenever Jax drops the act and slips back into the reality his mind's actually stuck in. At that point, we finally get how the digital circus is built and what its residents really are. But if we head back to the bar, we'll catch one more insanely interesting detail.
And I would seek out mild thrills, like exploring abandoned buildings, and posting videos of it online.
Ah, a YouTuber.
I sometimes did that. I wouldn't record it, though.
I worked in real estate for a bit until I ended up here.
Even though we've already talked a few times about the abandoned buildings and how most likely one of them's where that office is, the one with the headset that once you put it on, there's no way back. In episode 6, we got a hint that this plot thread's gonna keep developing. But way back in the pilot, we already saw that office in a terrible state, which once again proves the abandoned buildings keep popping up for a reason. But the only ones who ever talked about it were Zuble, Pomni, and Ragatha, while the rest never said a word about that place. We all get that Jax and Regatha were somehow connected in the real world, and it's pretty likely that after Regatha went missing, Jax went looking for her, and that's how he ended up in the digital circus with her. But things with Gangle are way more interesting, because she told us the story of her life, yet aside from drawings and fast food, there weren't really any other details. If we remember the scene in episode 4 where Gangle was genuinely happy and then got hit by a truck, we can tell that scene ain't just some random idea from Caine. Most likely it's a nod to Gangle's past, and that accident is what landed her in the digital circus. I can confidently guess that the truck belonged to CNA, and after the crash, the employees took her to an abandoned building where that office was. While she was still conscious, they hooked her up to the headset, and that's how she got transferred into the digital circus. The situation with Kinger's way more interesting, because if we remember that scene,
I'm still missing a heart. This isn't fair.
Oh, I've got just the thing. Here, take this.
Well, wait. What did you just do? What was that?
It's a butterfly. It can restore your health.
Did Caine mention that?
Oh, nah. I made it up.
I already talked about what this could mean, and there's a chance Kinger might be one of the creators of the digital circus. But even if it's just some secret ability of his, in that same bar where everyone shared their stories, Kinger was just being himself, and it's pretty likely he's somehow connected to the abandoned buildings too. So we get that people end up in the digital circus either by accident or when their real-life existence is seriously at risk. It's important to understand that it's the consciousness that gets transferred, so the way we see a character is a true reflection of their real-world self. Looking at Gangle, we can safely say she probably had some kind of condition in real life, most likely bipolar disorder, and against that backdrop, the digital circus crafted her image with all those different masks. Or take Regatha, who based on her story should have been an ideal girl, and that ended up showing in her as someone super insecure who constantly sees herself as the center of the problems.
I think I might have failed Pomni. Just like I failed Jax. I tried too hard to get on their good side, and then I just end up pushing them away. I don't even know what I want. I just want everyone to be happy. And I don't want people to hate me.
But in a way, Jax was right, because a lot of people do put on a mask, and that Regatha we saw before episode 5 is exactly that, her mask. Most likely the characters come up with a certain archetype for themselves to forget their past life and try to learn how to interact with others in a totally new role. Understanding all this, we can conclude that Zuble's wish from the start of episode 6 is the true desire of her consciousness. We also remember that this breaks the rules of the digital circus, and in that case, if more and more characters start speaking their real desires, it could lead to irreversible consequences. We all remember how Caine reacted to Zuble's words. It's not that he's mad, it's just that those wishes go against his programming, and in that moment, he's trying to figure out why the characters started talking about what actually worries them instead of what they're supposed to. So yeah, even a seemingly simple line reveals a ton of details about the digital circus, and I'm already crazy hyped for episode 7 to dive even deeper into it. As usual, can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch y'all soon.